I was going to say that SEO with Fat Joe is as peaceful as this, but then the birds are all having fights.
Did you know that Google personalizes many searches by city and Also Asked is the only tool to access live People Also Ask data at city level? Try for free at alsoasked.com.
Tired of SEO guesswork? Quadra's AI agent goes deeper to uncover high-impact optimizations and completes hours of SEO in minutes. Get started now.
Hello, just waiting for my countdown and then I can start. Hey, we're green. We're nearly there, aren't we? Yeah. Graveyard shift, I can literally taste the beer. So stick with me, we'll get through this quickly. I'm not actually here to talk to you about PPC or SEO. I'm here to talk to you about what happens after that. What you need to do to ensure that your marketing budgets aren't getting cut. Helping you guys to understand what finance teams need to hear from you, and also helping marketers to understand the responsibility that we have so that we can speak in the terms that our finance teams need to hear in, so that they understand the revenue and the value that all of us are driving into the businesses that we serve. So I've gone on quite a long journey with this. My background is as a marketer, but more recently I've gone into revenue operations. And one of the core things that we do at Future Group is sort out people's HubSpots. Any HubSpot users here? How fucked is your HubSpot right now? Okay, so fucked. Come see me later. But I started life as a marketer, much like all of you. And I remember going into my very first marketing budget meeting. There I am. I'm not quite as handsome as Leo, unfortunately, but off I went regardless. And I thought, this is going to be brilliant. I'm going to talk to the finance team about all of the traffic that we're driving to the site. I'm going to be talking to them about how great our cost per click is, all these wonderful things. And I thought, come on, let's have it. And it was all going so well. And then the CFO asked me that fateful question. And I had to think about that. And then I said this. So the CFO then repeated, a little more sternly this time, I'll give you a free HubSpot audit if you can tell me what film that comes from, by the way, as well. Like, tell me at the end if you know what movie that's from. And I thought to myself, well, you need to be asking the sales team that, right? I'm the guy who gives you the leads. Like, you need to be asking them about the money, surely. We had a difference of opinion, and the conversation went on and on and on, and I was trying to explain to them all the great value that we are offering. But revenue didn't once cross my mind. Now, I knew that people were buying. I could see it. I could see that people were buying. But what I didn't have the ability to do was recall that there in the meeting. And I left looking a little bit like this. Shit kicked out of me, right? But with, hope in my eyes for the future. And after that meeting, I had a little bit of a word with myself. And I just sat down and I thought to myself, well, like, why do we do marketing? Like, what is the reason for doing marketing? Is it to drive traffic to a website? Brand visibility? Sorry. Yeah, it is. It is that. But that's an input. It's not an outcome. Getting conversions? Rugby fans? No? Okay, it is that. But it's an input. It's not the outcome. The outcome is this. And actually, something that Laddie said in his talk earlier really stuck and resonated with me. It is generating oversized commercial returns. That's the reason we do marketing. It is to make money. But more often than not, particularly in the B2B world, we're focused on just that first bit, getting people onto site, getting them to part with their data, and creating a marketing qualified lead. So I had to go back to the drawing board and really think about how, if I wanted to retain my marketing budget, what was it that I needed to show to the finance teams to really drive this message home? Because I knew that we were providing value, I could see it. But what I didn't have was a holistic system of measurement that could speak to that in the terminologies that a finance team could understand. So I needed an understand. I needed to do these things. I needed to understand how many leads marketing were generating each month through which channels. Relatively easy, right? I needed to understand how many of them were actually worth something to us. How much money was it taking us to actually generate something that marketing was saying, okay, this matches our ICP. They're ready to buy. They're ready to talk to someone in a sales team. I needed to understand what that relationship looked like. How were we passing those MQLs to our sales team? Were they actually reaching out to them? Did they have trust in marketing's leads, or were they more into doing their own thing? Anyone familiar with that story? Yeah, it happens. It happens all too often. And then trying to understand the crucial thing here is like, how many did sales say, yes, thank you very much, marketing. I'm having that. That's brilliant. I'm going to work that. How many did we get a proposal out to? And then crucially, how many actually became customers? How many parted with their money? And so I did a little bit of research. I did a little bit of thinking. And I stumbled on this thing that I thought was really, really cool. Bowtie funnel. Anyone heard of this? Anyone familiar with bowtie funnel methodology? Cool. All right. You guys are going to love this, I promise. So I read a book called Winning by Design. And in it was this thing called bowtie funnel methodology. And what it talked to do was to instill in businesses this idea that you need to spend as much effort and energy and time to understanding what happens after that conversion as you do filling your top of funnel. This is the path to business sustainability. This is the path to ROI. And I looked at that and I thought, well, hang on a minute. This looks like a really, really awesome system of measurement that I can overlay into our marketing technology stack, crucially our CRM there. So what we've got here is we've got this bow tie with strategic goals at each point, getting us to becoming a customer for the first time, and then bringing us through to becoming a really, really loyal customer, a brand ambassador. And I thought to myself, well, if we overlaid each of those strategic goals onto the life cycle stages within our CRM, I can build a funnel. I can show people how that works. We can get that figured out. And there were three key ingredients that we needed to make this work. The first one was some kind of a CRM system. I quite like HubSpot. Other products are available. We needed to be able to understand what a life cycle stage is and how someone will move through those. But we also needed, and this was the trickiest part, we needed a joined up criteria that every single involved stakeholder in the business agreed to. What is our criteria for someone who is a subscriber? What characteristics do they possess? And all the way through there, when do we consider somebody a customer? And when do we consider somebody an evangelist? When do we consider them the best customer? And so we had to go away and figure out what that criteria was. Let me break that down for you. Attracting subscribers. So the cool thing about this part of the bow tie funnel is that you can structure it completely with a lead scoring model. What we did was once we'd gone through the process of understanding our ICPs, understanding all the levers that we had to pull, different pages on our website, different resources, lead hooks, all those sorts of things, we could understand how we would then weight points to each of those different sorts of interactions. And we got ourselves to this place where we said, okay, well, look, if they match our ICP, they've got the right job title, things like that, and they're looking at these pages, they've downloaded these resources, they're giving us their level of information, we can give them a lead score of up to 30, and we can bucket them in that subscriber lifecycle stage. And we can give ownership to marketing for those people. It's only right. They've come into the top of the funnel. Marketing put them there. It's marketing's responsibility. They should get the credit for that. And then the next job here is to turn that subscriber into a lead. And the way that we're understanding that is through intent. It's through giving them more points by doing more. Perhaps they're registering and attending webinars. You could be giving them points for that. Perhaps they're doing things like looking at pricing pages on your website, or they're opening and clicking on your emails. You can just give them points for each of those activities. And when that person is displaying more intent, we're thinking, okay, they're a lead. There's something interesting there. We, as marketers, are going to continue to shepherd them and steward them to the point where they say, I want to talk to a human being. I am an MQL. And again, we're awarding them points to get them to that to that juncture. And my favorite sort of like crossover point here, other than someone just filling out a contact us form because they're, that's a definite hand raise, is them giving you something like a phone number. That really shows intent that they're expecting some kind of comms. In addition, if you are using outbound marketing in the form of an SDR team, we can add that as another qualification criteria to when we consider something to be an MQL. And it's at that point that we hand them over to sales. You guys with me so far? Make sense? Cool. Now, sales are qualifying a lead by having a qualification meeting and saying, thank you very much, marketing, we'll take it from here, that's awesome. Or they're saying, no, that's not quite right, and hopefully they're telling you the reasons why, but let's face it, they're sales, they never do. If you can provide for them a feedback loop whereby you are making them fill out certain properties in your CRM to tell you why they're disqualifying a lead, that's something really, really nice that you can build some reporting on, and then you can feed that back into your marketing strategy. Understand a little bit more about the sorts of people that you do want to bring in and the sorts of people that actually aren't going to convert, so stop focusing on them, stop targeting them. Next through to the opportunity stage. So what we're talking about here is not really marketing. This is where you are handing over responsibility to sales. Off you go, guys, go and land it. But I tell you what sales do, don't they? They'll claim all the credit. Always, without fail. Now, it wasn't a marketing lead. You see, what happened is that he phoned me, or he knocked on the door in the office, and it's my lead. So then they come back to marketing, and if you've got this model set up here, you can say, well, actually, no. We saw them come in as a subscriber, and I can tell you what asset they downloaded to get there. We then sent them a newsletter. We then retargeted them with ads, and we can see that journey, and we collected more information from them, progressive profiling. We turned them into an MQL. Sales said, yes, please, thank you very much, we'll take it from there. It's not a sales lead, that's a marketing lead, and we can demonstrate everything that we've got there to show the credit for it. No more sneaky salespeople. Cool. So, next side of the bow tie. Once we've closed them and we've gotten a criteria for that, you'll notice this is slanted way more towards B2B, but it is applicable in B2C as well if you can understand how they've gone through a checkout process. They've got closed one deal in a sales pipeline, and this is the point where we can say, yeah, that's the money that they have parted with for our goods or services, and that's how much it cost us to get them there. But the job's not done, because obviously there is retention marketing too. There is this understanding of how do we get people to come back and buy again, and how do we measure that? So you do need to assign a criteria to that too. Let's say someone has done some business with you, they've got a closed one deal, they've parted with some money. That's brilliant. They might come back and buy something else. Okay, well now we know that they're a little bit more of a loyal customer. They had a great buying experience the first time round. We're now understanding a little bit more about why they want to come back to us and do business again. So we've identified some kind of loyalty there. We've also inspired advocacy. So we are engaging with them as part of a sales process again to bring them through. And we've done business with them again. They've got another closed one deal. They've come through our sales funnel again. They're not just a customer now, they're a trusted advocate. And then finally, perhaps there's a renewal or something like that. We have shepherded them through another sales process with us, and we understand who they are. We understand that they really love us as a service provider or a retailer or what have you. And then what we've got there is our complete bow tie funnel. And the cool thing about this is that it then enables you to understand how you're going to talk to these people differently. Referrals, great way of driving new business into your sales funnel. People that are up here and are advocates or ambassadors for you, they're more likely to be open to shouting about the sorts of things that you do and recommending you. Does anyone work in agencies here? Yeah. How often have you done a great piece of work for a customer, someone else has got in touch with you out of the blue and said, hey, such and such said you did a really, really good job. Do you fancy coming and doing some work for us? Does that happen a lot for you guys? It happens a lot for me. Yeah? Does it not happen for anyone? Bit of a mixed bag. Cool. So the point that I'm making there is that we're not going to try and get referrals from these people because it would be pointless. They haven't had that experience with us. We're just going to focus on trying to drive those sorts of referral campaigns and things like that to these chunks of people. And provided you've got your criteria set out well, you've then got the makings of your segmentation. You've got the foundations for how you communicate to different people at different stages of the buyer's journey. And it just makes the whole thing sing much better. The outcome being that you can do this. You can find the bottlenecks and the points of velocity in your customer journey. Not only can you do that, but then when you change things or tweak things, you can come back and look at this again. If we notice that we've got a bottleneck here between turning a sales qualified lead into an opportunity, we can use that data point to interrogate that. We can work with our sales team on their sales collateral, the way that they're pitching, other things like that. We can even break it down so we can see individual performance of people in a sales team to understand if some of them are better at getting people through that bottleneck than others. And once we understand that and we deploy an action to try and correct it, we can measure the result later on in the future. And once we can do that, we can then start to show the value that marketing drives into businesses, which ultimately means we can speak to our finance teams and say, well, look how much money marketing efforts are bringing into you guys. It's not just sales. We're on the hook for a lot of this too. Hopefully it means that not only do budgets not get cut, but you get the bandwidth to experiment and get more investment into doing other things that you want to do, other things that you want to try out. So that's it. Thank you so much for your time. It is arguably the most precious resource that all of us possess, and the sun is shining outside, so I really appreciate you giving some of that time to me today. I hope you have a lovely weekend. Thank you.